This is Story Recapped. Today, I'm going to explain an action, adventure, drama, and sci-fi film called The Darkest Minds. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Young Ruby Daly enjoys lunch with her classmates when one girl abruptly stills. She manifests her telekinetic ability uncontrollably until she collapses with eyes glowing blue. Months later, most children die with a disease dubbed by scientists as idiopathic adolescent acute neurodegeneration, or IAAN. The surviving children show signs of bizarre and destructive behavior. As a result, President Gray appeals to the public to turn their children to the government, just as he did with his son, Clancy Gray. On her birthday, Ruby is delighted when her parents give her a keychain. She assures them that she's okay when she notices her mother's worried expression. That night, Ruby wakes up and joins her parents in their bed. She offers comforting words and takes her sleeping mother's hand, when Ruby's eyes suddenly flash orange. Scared, she rushes out of their room. In the morning, Ruby greets her mother but she doesn't recognize her. Her mother locks her in the garage, despite showing her the keychain they gave her. A while later, government troops arrive and transport her to their camp. When they arrive, a teenager flees but is quickly subdued by a soldier. His eyes flash orange as he stumbles, and the soldier who hit him shoots herself. The soldier yells at his comrades to take the kid out because he's an orange. Ruby is brought into a room with Dr. Viceroy, who explains what color corresponds to each child's disorder. Greens have enhanced intelligence, blues are telekinetic, golds manipulate electricity, reds control fire, and oranges have mind control. Reds and oranges are considered dangerous, thus must be terminated. The apparatus above scans her and reveals she's an orange. Ruby tries to escape when he prepares a syringe. When the doctor catches up to her, Ruby mentally convinces him that she's agreeing. The doctor returns to his monitor in a daze and modifies Ruby's assessment results. 6 years later, Captain McManus harasses a teenage Ruby while she's working. He thinks that she's too dumb to be green and taunts that they'll know the truth soon enough. To divert the captain's attention away from Ruby, the girl beside her insults him. The captain yanks her by the hair and yells to run the test. When they walk outside, the speaker blasts high-frequency sounds that only the young people can hear, causing Ruby to faint. Ruby wakes up cuffed to a bed with Dr. Kate beside her. Kate asks for her well-being, then shares that she was a social worker before, and that Ruby reminds her of a girl that she failed to protect. Kate assures Ruby that she's there for her now. When a soldier announces her shift's end, Kate pretends to interview Ruby, then turns away and discreetly leaves the clipboard to Ruby. Ruby checks the clipboard and finds a message with a key stuck in it, instructing her to go to the boiler room because the camp knows she's an orange. Just then, a soldier reports that Ruby is an orange, putting the camp under lockdown immediately. Ruby makes it into the boiler room barely in time. Kate arrives and gives Ruby a change of clothes and a mask for disguise. They make it out of the room without detection and proceed to Kate's car. At the gate, Kate explains that Dr. Rogers is passed out in the backseat due to pain medication, but the captain still demands that she remove her mask. When the captain reaches for her, Ruby uses her powers on him, allowing them to escape. Ruby wakes up and takes a moment to enjoy the view, then asks Kate why the place seems abandoned. Kate answers that the majority fled to the cities for work. Ruby assumes Kate's taking her home, but Kate says she's taking her to the Children's League. They're a resistance group that aims to rescue children from the camp, which everyone still believes is curing the children due to the government's lies. Kate then gives her a pendant that works as a tracking device if pressed. They stop at a gasoline station where they meet Rob, another League member who gives Ruby a change of clothes. She trips over a pipe just as she's about to leave, forcing Rob to grab her. Ruby sees a vision of him harshly treating a teenager before she walks away. Just as she is dressed, she hears a cluttering noise and sees Zoo. As Zoo brushes the wall, her eyes flare gold, causing the electricity to shoot sparks. Ruby runs after the girl when she sees Kate and Rob coming. Zoo dashes to a van and slams the door at Ruby. Ruby pleads with Zoo to let her in because she fears the Leagues are trying to kill her. Zoo finally slides the door and let her in. Just then, Liam and Charles arrive and drive away when they hear Kate calling for Ruby. Just as they're wondering who Ruby is, Ruby reveals herself. Charles wants her to leave, but Liam stops her when he notices her shoes, indicating she just left the camp. She assures them she's green and harmless. Ruby wants to leave to go home, but Liam drives away, not letting her out. Just then, Lady Jane shoots their van. Kate and Rob's car arrives and bumps into Lady Jane's car. Ruby pleads with them to let her out, but Liam asks her to replace him in the driver's seat. Liam opens the back of the van and telekinetically controls the wind and cracks the road. When he hurls an entire tree trunk as an obstacle, he eventually gets them off their trail. On a rest stop, Liam reveals that Charles is a green, thus making him a genius. Charles is aware greens are inferior, so he can't understand why the Leagues are after Ruby. Ruby brushes off his suspicions and walks away to go home to Salem, Virginia, but Liam stops her telekinetically. He warns her that she could be tracked down by bounty hunters called Tracers, like Lady Jane. He invites her to come with them to the East River, a haven for their likes built by the Slip Kid. No one knows the Slip Kid's identity, only that he's an orange and earned the name when he slipped away from custody several times. Ruby finally agrees on the hopes of a new home. On their journey, Ruby wonders if the League might be good guys since Kate helped her escape. Liam claims that the League exploits them for their abilities and lures them in with hollow promises. He and his brother join them, but he escaped because he didn't want to be a soldier. Ruby is afraid to trust him, but Liam claims that she'll soon realize that the only people they can trust are themselves. Back in the camp, the captain confronts Dr. Viceroy angrily for not detecting that Ruby's an orange. He punishes him by making him face a hooded kid with flashing red eyes. The captain walks away and gives the order on Ruby's bounty. In the bathroom of the hotel they've stayed over, Ruby remembers the final night at her home when Liam knocks to bring her a pair of socks as a peace offering for his recent outburst. While they're sleeping that night, she accidentally brushes Zoo's hand and sees Liam carrying Zoo out of the camp while the soldiers fired them while fleeing. The two wake up and Liam comes to Zoo to comfort her from her nightmare. The morning after, Zoo offers Ruby a red dress just as she wakes up. She heads out to find Liam scraping the van's label. When he sees her in her dress, the two start flirting until two Tracers stroll out of one of the hotel rooms. Ruby's eyes flash orange and the two Tracers leave without a fuss. Later that day, the group stops at an abandoned mall to gather supplies. They're having a good time when Ruby and Liam notice writing on the floor, directing them to leave. Someone controls them quickly, causing them to fly into the air and collide against store items. Zoo arrives and rains electrical sparks on the assailants. Charles intervenes just as their assailants expose their identities. The leader apologizes, saying they attacked because they mistook them for Tracers. The leader offers them food and let them stay for the night. That night, Liam asks the leader of the Slip Kid's whereabouts. The leader emphasizes his vow of secrecy, but Ruby uses her power on him, making him reveal EDO as a clue but refuses to elaborate further. After helping Zoo sleep, Ruby walks out of the tent and asks Charles about his progress on what EDO means. Charles tries every possible code but to no avail. She notices paragraphs on Charles' notebook, which Charles reveals that it's a code for his parents. He shares that his dad was a doctor, so Ruby shares that her dad was a detective. Charles' eyes turn green as he realizes that EDO isn't a location but a frequency. Charles fiddles with the radio until the proper frequency channel is found. Then, on the radio, a voice announces their location, Lake Prince, Virginia. Back on the road, Ruby assumes that they're on their way to Lake Prince, but Liam confirms they're taking her home. Ruby says her goodbyes and thanks them before she leaves. Upon reaching her house, she hesitates, knowing that her parents will not recognize her. Deciding that she has already lost her family, Ruby turns away and runs to the field, throwing her keychain on the way. Liam finds her and convinces her to take the keychain back, reminding her that she's not alone and they're her family. Caught in their emotional turmoil, the two move to kiss, but Ruby pulls away at the last moment. Going back to their van, Lady Jane hits Ruby in an ambush and fires the high-frequency sound at Liam. Lady Jane handcuffs Liam and wonders what he might have done to raise the price on his head. Liam offers himself if she lets his friends go, but Lady Jane scoffs and approaches Ruby. Ruby hypnotizes her into dropping her gun and apologizing to Zoo. Finally, Ruby orders her to walk without stopping. When Lady Jane walks away, Ruby collapses. Ruby wakes up with Charles and Liam arguing about leaving her behind. Assuming they're fighting about her, she apologizes and walks away. But Charles tells her they're talking about the van. They knew she was an orange all along. She laments over her uncontrollable abilities and admits that skin contact is tough for her since it causes her to enter their heads. Liam realizes that's the reason she didn't kiss him. Charles breaks the awkwardness and suggests they leave. They pack up and leave on foot since the van's too noticeable for Tracers. Later as they walk, Charles finally points out EDO spelled on the railway, signaling they've arrived. They come to a halt when a group of armed teenagers bars their way. The group stops the attack when their leader, Mike, recognizes Liam. Mike leads them to the shelter, where they see children living together harmoniously. Mike introduces them to the Slip Kid, who turns out to be Clancy Gray, the president's son. Clancy greets them with their names, fully aware of their identities. Clancy stares at Ruby, claiming they're the only two remaining oranges. After expressing his delight in having them in his camp, Clancy orders Mike to let them settle in. That night, the camp throws a party while Liam and Ruby casually talk. Liam pulls Ruby for a dance using telekinesis, and as they hug, Clancy looks over at them meaningfully. Ruby walks into Clancy's room in the morning to ask for her assignment, and Clancy says she'll work with him. Using his abilities, Clancy shows her the torture he suffered at scientists probing at his father's bidding to find a cure. When they failed, his father declared him cured even when he's not. Clancy empathizes with her inability to touch others and convinces her to let him help her control her abilities without harming others. Over the next few days, Clancy and Ruby become closer as they learn the extent of Ruby's powers to strengthen her. One day, Clancy asks Ruby why she fears her ability so much. He urges her to show him, just as Liam stops outside to listen. Ruby shows him that final night in their home, when she unintentionally erased her parents' memory of her in hopes of consoling them. Clancy is in awe and tells her they're going to figure out how she erased their memories and how to revise it. Ruby expresses her delight in him being like her, making Liam walk away dejectedly. Later, Liam confronts Ruby for being aloof, but Ruby tells him she's protecting him because they're not the same, so Liam walks away. Ruby runs after Liam in the forest but finds Charles staring off the lake instead. Ruby thinks Lake Prince is getting strange and wishes they're back on the road. Charles admits that it's not the haven he expected it to be, since they're being told what to do like in the camps. Inside his tent, Clancy's chat box reveals his connection to Captain McManus, who's awaiting his order. Clancy hurriedly closes his monitor when Ruby walks in. Ruby asks Clancy to let Charles use the computer to contact his parents. Clancy agrees in exchange for her teaching him how to erase memories. Ruby has no idea how to do it, but Clancy suggests they need to walk through her memory. Clancy guides her through her last evening with her parents, and he infiltrates her memory. When Ruby wakes up with Clancy leaning to kiss her, she punches him and escapes. Clancy mutters that now he has the ability, he can erase that moment and start over. Liam sees her walking in tears and demands to know what's wrong. After trying to shove him away, Ruby touches him and feeds him the memory of Clancy's actions. Ruby stops him from attacking Clancy and suggests they should just leave. They fetch Sue and Charles and run through the tent with fewer guards. When they enter, they're blinded by lights and discover that the captain and his soldiers waiting for them. Liam telekinetically hurls the captain on the wall, but Clancy quickly gets control of his mind, subduing him. Clancy approaches the captain and inquires about his father. The captain states that he's enjoying Clancy's previous cell. Clancy hits Liam while telling Ruby they could have been powerful together and take control of the world. He orders the captain to continue beating Liam, while Clancy threatens to erase Ruby's memory so she'll side with him. Angry, Ruby controls the captain and makes him shoot himself, then tells Zoo to control the lights, providing them the distraction for an escape. Choppers descend alongside Reds, burning several youngsters just as they step out of the tents. As the Reds approach, Liam telekinetically blocks the flames with a container unit and throws it at them. Clancy mind controls the survivors, making them kneel as he walks towards Ruby. Ruby urges Liam to save the others while she faces Clancy. Liam, Charles, and Zoo guide the remaining children to safety. Ruby controls the soldier to line up before her and shoot Clancy, but he controls them to shoot each other. Clancy makes Ruby kneel before him, promising to make her the perfect Ruby. Ruby retorts that she likes the way she is, and makes the chopper overhead crash on Clancy. The chopper explodes, and Charles pushes to save her but gets burned himself. Ruby helps Charles to the lake and presses Kate's tracking device to request a rescue. When Liam reaches them, Ruby tells him she called the League and urges him to escape, but Liam refuses, saying they're family. A moment later, the League arrives with Kate. Ruby awakens in a room with Kate and Rob, where Kate informs her of Charles' condition and promises she can see him when he recovers. Kate assures her that the League saves the kids, but Ruby thinks they are no different from Clancy and the government, who wants to dominate them. Just then, Rob argues that everyone makes sacrifices to survive and stresses that Liam will be valuable to them. Before arguing further, Ruby uses her powers on Rob and makes him leave. When Kate calms her down, Ruby pleads to let Liam go, but Kate claims he's become a security risk. Ruby offers herself to Kate in exchange for Liam's release, and she asks to speak with him to convince him to leave. In his room, Ruby hugs Liam as he imagines them living normal lives and meeting for the first time. He concludes it with him declaring his love for her. In tears, Ruby asks him to close his eyes. Then she kisses Liam and erases his memory of her. When Liam opens his eyes, he no longer recognizes her and Kate. Ruby introduces themselves as the League and hands him a backpack as they let him go. With a last glance, Liam runs as Ruby's keychain dangles on his backpack. Ruby steps into the arena to protect her family. Zoo has been adopted into a family, Charles recovers in the hospital, and Liam is free from the Leagues. Elsewhere, Clancy stands in an airplane with rows of soldiers below him. Ruby paints her forehead in orange, amidst the youngsters' loud cheers in the arena.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Turn on notifications. And leave a like, it really helps the channel out. Thank you for watching.